What is up, gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. So glad to have you guys back here. On today's episode, I'll be looking at my core tenets, my core rules for mental toughness, or building up mental toughness on a day-to-day basis. Some of these are mind hacks, some of these are philosophies, some of these are just words to live by, but ultimately, why do you want to build up mental toughness? At the end of the day, every day is going to bring a series of core challenges with it that are going to test you. They're going to put you to your limits. They're going to try to wear you down day in and day out. But the way that you approach each day says a lot about the character that you build and ultimately the things you're able to achieve. So, what are these core tenets? Well, number one is to understand that you really need to take every single day in its own stride. You need to be able to focus on the moment. What does it mean to be able to focus on the moment? Think of the last time that you had a conversation with someone. Think of the last time that you were engaged in something specific. Chances are you're bringing 50%, 40% of yourself to that specific engagement. The other 50% was off thinking about your anxieties. They were off thinking about your worries, your dreams, your whatever it is, your concerns about life. You're not bringing the full 100% version of yourself to that specific engagement. As I'm running this video, as I'm doing this episode, I'm fully immersed in what I'm doing. I'm speaking authentically. I'm speaking from a place that is deep down, and I'm truly living and focusing on this specific moment. Understand that you never want to water down who you are or what you're capable of. Learn to focus on the moment. What I like to do is I like to understand that every single time that I'm detached from something or I'm not giving 100% of my focus and my attention, that honestly, I might as well not do that thing. I focus like a Roman on the thing that I'm trying to achieve, and I do it to the best of my ability, and I'm very practical in my approach. Number two is that you must willingly embrace adversity in all of its shapes, forms, and sizes. Most people choose to go through life with the core goal being that they want to avoid any sort of discomfort, any sort of confrontation, any sort of friction, any sort of rejection. They never put themselves in any scenario in which they could be challenged, in which they could actually face the idea of a rejection, face the idea of a no, face the idea of a true defeat. Anyone who does that, anyone who chooses to live in a comfort zone will never understand truly where their potential lies. They'll never truly understand where the boundaries of their existence is. And I choose to look at every single adversity as an opportunity to advance, to grow, to sharpen the knife that I use through my life. There's a very well-known saying that says, the impediment to action becomes the action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What that means is the things that are put in front of you ultimately teach you the valuable life lessons that you need to navigate life and to build what ultimately becomes your one true path. Number three is that you must be consistently exercising your mind. You must be consistently looking at the way that your mind engages in specific scenarios, how you respond to pressure, how you respond to decision making, and consistently be building up your stress tolerance, your decision-making ability, your ability to think critically, to think logically, to think sharply. I look at every single miniature problem as an opportunity for me to exercise my judgment, for me to exercise my logic, for me to exercise my emotional stability. Even if I find myself getting ticked off sometimes, right? I find myself getting frustrated. I'll catch myself in the middle of that frustration and tell myself that there's no need to be frustrated. That frustration will not bring with it a different outcome. That frustration is only wearing away at me. Remember this. Remember the last time that you might have been caught in a plane, right? And maybe you're sharing the armrest with someone. That same person they're struggling for that armrest, right? And you're having this internal dialogue in your head where you're just frustrated with the other person. If you are unwilling to actually go ahead and say something, then shut up. Don't think about it. Don't give it more mental energy than it needs to. These are small miniature wins that allow you to gain complete control over your emotional state, your mental state, and your logical state. Number four is to consistently be willing to challenge yourself. There is a very well-known book called The Way of the Superior Man that says that as a man, you must always be willing to live at your edge. What is your edge? Your edge is the edge of what you are capable of, right? It's the edge of what you are able to tolerate in terms of stress, in terms of risk, in terms of adversity. Always be comfortable or be willing to push yourself to your edge, not beyond your edge, not before your edge. Find out where your edge is and put yourself in scenarios that consistently allow you to challenge yourself in your edge. Whether that is your physical fitness, whether that's taking up a new type of martial combat sports, or maybe trying a new hobby that you're uncertain of, or that you're aware that you might look foolish in, or maybe that is in terms of going after a new business opportunity or building a new social network. All of these things challenge you. They put you in scenarios that are deeply uncomfortable, but force you to challenge yourself and force you to overcome obstacles that had you not tried to overcome, Well, number one, you wouldn't gain the potential benefit of what's on the other side. And two, even if you don't gain, right, even if the outcome is not in your favor, think of the lessons you learned actually trying to chase that goal. So it's never about what you receive at the end. It's about who you become as you challenge yourself to receive those things, or to aim and strive to receive those things. Number five, when it comes to mental toughness, always choose to respond positively. Why positively? It takes a true person, it takes a true person of character to look at every single scenario, whether objectively negative or positive, in a fundamentally positive light. There's a very well-known sort of Latin saying that says amor fati, which means to love one's fate. And I truly believe that loving one's fate is the acceptance that anything that does happen to us, whether it's negative or positive, can be spun into something truly life-altering, life-changing. Think of a death in the family. Think of the worst thing that could probably happen to you, right? The death of a father, the death of a mother. That sounds tragic, and of course, at some fundamental point it is, but you have to understand that that may be an opportunity for you to build up your mental resilience. Maybe it is an opportunity for you to show up for your family, show up to the people that need you the most, to rise up to the occasion and bring the best possible version of yourself where others are not able to do so. To be a pillar, to be a light in a dark room. This is what the idea of loving one's fate is. It's the idea that any negative can be an opportunity to bring in your best possible self to it. And this is how you build up mental toughness and strength over the years. Number six is to be mindful. So we mentioned about being present, but what does it mean to be mindful? For me, being mindful is the understanding of your thoughts, your emotions, your worries, your anxieties, being truly present in them and acknowledging them when they come up. As a person, I tend to try to maintain a very stable state of affairs when it comes to my emotional state. I neither get too happy nor do I get too sad. It doesn't mean that I don't feel those emotions or those emotions don't naturally come up. At the end of the day, I'm a human. I'm not a robot. There's some days that I wake up and I don't feel like doing the things that I need to do. But those emotional sort of caveats or those emotional outbursts are irrelevant to the actions I take on a day-to-day basis. The act of being mindful over what I'm feeling, over what my state is, allows me to articulate what I'm feeling to myself and to logically go through the motions to overcome any challenges that these emotional states might bring. Aim to be mindful. When you're speaking to someone, understand what sort of engagement you're having, right? Understand the other person. Look at the other person and see them for who they are and what they want, and try to bring yourself as a gift to that scenario and find a possible or the most favorable outcome for all parties involved. This is the idea of being mindful. Most people walk about life and they walk through life in a state of sleepwalk. They just go through life and they do the motions that they've been programmed to do. They don't actually bring the right version, the most authentic version of themselves to their engagements. Be mindful and choose to bring who you truly are, and choose to cultivate and to develop who you truly are as you move through life. Number 7 is that you should never be defeated by your fear. What is fear? Ultimately, fear is the worry that something will not go your way. It's the projection into the future, a outcome that still has never or might not ever happen. Choose to understand that fear is completely self-imposed, whether it's the fear of taking a risk, whether it's the fear of a rejection, whether it's the fear of whatever it is. Fear is simply there because you allow it to be there. Choose to eliminate the idea of fear. So there's a very well-known saying that says, if you walk into a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, well, chances are you're going to be fearful of what demons and what ghosts and what specters could lie in that house. But on the flip side, if you choose to eliminate any sort of fear of ghosts, right, you don't give them any belief, you remove the power, then you walk into that haunted house and all of a sudden it's just a rundown old house. Number 8 is to be aware of your self-talk. What is your self-talk? Your self-talk is your inner monologue. It's the dialogue you have yourself. It's the way that you view who you are and how you think others view you. When you have a negative self-talk, when you choose to downplay who you are and to choose to talk negatively about yourself on a day in, day out basis, what happens is, number 1, you build up that habit. You start to look at everything from a negative standpoint, right? You may wake up in the morning, just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I don't like how I look today. I don't like how I feel, or I don't believe that I'm capable of achieving the things that I need to do, right? Choose to flip that self-talk into something that's more empowering, into something that is more enlightened. It's difficult. I understand the idea of this negative feedback loop where you have a negative thought, and that negative thought, even if you catch yourself in it, brings other negative thoughts, because then you feel like a loser for worrying about who you are, right? So you tell yourself, I'm such a loser. And then you're like, I'm a loser for thinking I'm a loser. I can't believe I'm a loser for thinking about a loser because I'm, right? It's this very weird and negative feedback loop. Break the cycle. Choose to look at who you are for what you are, which is just someone who's trying their best and is trying to do what needs to be done on a daily basis. Whether you have shortcomings or whether you excel in certain areas is irrelevant. You are living the human experience. Give yourself all the tools necessary to succeed in that area. Why are you tearing yourself down when others are more than willing to do it for you? You should be your biggest cheerleader. You should be your biggest succeeder. You should be the person that has your back no matter what. I choose to believe in the things that empower me, and I refuse to believe in the things that don't. Number 9 is to completely rid yourself of the notion of impossible or I can't do something. I always say to myself, if someone else who has lived a similar life to me, who has lived in a similar area of me, has done it, has achieved the success, then why not me, right? Why is it that this person is capable and I'm incapable of that, right? If you see someone in a nice car and you aspire to have a nice car, honestly, that should be something that motivates the fuck out of you. It should not be something that you look at as a source of jealousy or as greed. And like, I always notice people that they will almost downplay others with success as a means of protecting themselves so that they're not bruising their own ego. Look at the success of someone else as a true motivator for what is truly capable and possible in this world. Honestly, if someone else has done it, then why not you? What makes you different? What is the separation factor? Sure, you might tell yourself, oh, but that person had a better socioeconomic upbringing. Oh, but that person lives in a better part of the world. Or but that person has the connections that I don't have. Honestly, these are all lies and excuses that you tell yourself on a daily basis. That same person could have all the flaws that you have never heard of, but that's not something you're aware of. That's not something that you're giving any attention to because it doesn't fit into the narrative of why that person is doing what you can't do. So never choose to believe in what you can't do. Always choose to believe in the things that are possible because anything is possible if someone else has done it. Number 10 is to choose to stumble towards success. So what does this mean? I often look back at the start of my business, Fit Design, right? In the beginning, there was really no concrete plan. I didn't start with a business plan. I didn't start with a 5-year plan. I really did not know what I was doing as a 21, 22-year-old, just freelancing, creating sports designs for other brands. What I did do was I sort of took my aim, right? I took my bow and arrow and I sort of aimed it in the general direction of where I wanted to go. I chose to take the shot, and sure, I may have missed the first time, I may have missed the second time, but every single time I was able to calibrate my aim better and better. With every single experience, with every single step forward, I was able to lay out the path ahead of me. But the idea that the path is always going to be fully clear as it is from the start, right? That you're not going to face any adversity, or you're not going to know, or you're going to exactly where you need to go. That is a complete fallacy. Choose to stumble towards the success that you know you deserve, because as you stumble, you begin to have more and more clarity over, oh, maybe that step was wrong. Maybe I need to recalibrate that step. Maybe I need to shift my focus a little bit to this side. So on and so forth. You're able to recalibrate and you're able to start to sharpen up the moves that you make in your life. Number 11 is to try to look at everything as a problem that you can ultimately solve. Most people look at problems as problems, right? When something comes up, when something is at work, whether you have a problem at home, you look at every problem as this finite or this like sort of boxed in thing that is just a problem. Every single problem is a problem because there's a solution to that problem, right? That is what a problem is. A problem is something that one has to overcome, but that thing that you have to overcome, ultimately there will be a solution for it. Choose never to look at the problems, but look at the potential solutions. I'll give you guys a very specific example. I was having a conversation with my father around 5 to 6 months ago, and we were discussing what I was doing in the business day in, day out. And despite everything that I had built, right, I'm very proud of what I built at Fit Design. But he was giving me all of these ideas in terms of how I could scale, new businesses that I can start, new areas of opportunities that I can look into. And I remember just feeling extremely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of what he was saying. This man was thinking in such a wide and vast vision that it just overwhelmed the hell out of me. And I found myself slumping deeper and deeper into my chair until he ultimately looked at me and said, Shadi, you're no longer thinking of this the right way. You're thinking of the problems that you have to face as opposed to solutions you could ultimately resolve. Instead of looking at things as an opportunity, I was ultimately looking at them as a core problem that could never be overcome. And that's the number one way to demotivate yourself and to stop moving forward towards the things you want. Number 12 is to always choose to be grateful. To be grateful comes back to the idea of loving one's fate, to twist every single negative as a positive. You need to be grateful because gratitude is the number one cornerstone for living a happy and fulfilled life. Whether you have $1 million in the bank or you're just starting off, whether you have the happiest social life or you're someone that is just trying to find their footing in this world. At the end of the day, every single unique opportunity brings with it an area that you can be grateful for. You can be grateful for when you have nothing because you have everything to gain. You can be grateful for when you have everything because you have everything to lose. Everything is an opportunity to practice the idea of gratitude, whether it's within yourself or within others. Choose to compel or to choose to connect with the people around you and be thankful for their presence. Reach out to someone, tell them, hey, listen, I'm very thankful for you and for having you in my life. I'm thankful because of XYZ. You'll be so surprised by how much that will mean to that person. So few people are willing to express gratitude because of, I don't know, honestly. This simple idea of practicing gratitude day in, day out is life-changing. Believe me, practice it, be grateful for one thing every single day and watch your entire mindset change. Watch your entire health change. Number 13 is to consistently brace yourself for the inevitable storms of life. I mentioned this before, where you need to accept adversity as a core component, as a core part of life. A life without storms is a boring boat ride. You want to know that the storm is coming. The ups and downs are coming. The downturn is coming. The recession is coming. Whatever it is that you dread, whatever it is that you worry about is ultimately going to be there. Whether it's in the exact way that you imagine it or not, should take away no power from who you are and build or the foundation you choose to build to overcome that storm. At the end of the day, every storm brings with it an opportunity at the end of the storm. Be willing to embrace the adversities that are ultimately going to rise up and say to yourself, I'm capable. Say to yourself, when it hits, I'm ready. I was built for this. I was made for this. I'm ready for this. Last, but definitely not least, make the pursuit of mental toughness an everyday thing. If you think that you're going to wake up tomorrow after watching this video and you're going to be the most mentally tough person in the world, well, honestly, I have bad news for you. Mental toughness is something that you build up over a lifetime, not over years, not over decades, but over a lifetime. It's something that you consistently have to be conscious and self-aware of. It's something that even if you let it slip for 1 day, for 5 days, for 1 month, you can find yourself regressing. You can find yourself in a scenario that you never imagined you could go back to. Mental toughness is an attitude. It's a way of life. It's a philosophy that you carry with you in every single action you take. There's a very well-known state by Marcus Aurelius that says that you could leave life at any moment. You could die today, you could die tomorrow. So let that idea of death inform everything in what you do, in what you say, and how you think. Bring the best possible version of yourself to every engagement and look at each day as an opportunity to grow, to become a better version, and ultimately to empower those around you and to make them the happiest people that they can be by you giving your true fundamental gifts that you were born with. Guys, that is it. That is a wrap on this episode. I know this was a slightly longer episode than usual, but I did want to go through kind of my key tenets for mental toughness because honestly, look at your mental armor as a shield against the sort of the evils of the world, the demons of the world. And honestly, if you allow the evils of the world to overcome you, they only multiply, they only grow. Choose to shield yourself, choose to protect those around you, choose to be someone that is someone that you can be proud of, that you can look up to, and choose to build your mental toughness day in, day out by applying some of these points that I mentioned in this episode. And let me know which of these core points you personally gained the most amount of value from. Guys, from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Until next week, we'll speak.